While nature can be beautiful, it's also well known for being harsh and unforgiving. Even if you're equipped for a day outside, once you add in all the gear needed to play airsoft, things start to get pretty demanding. In today's lesson, we'll be exploring 5 of the most difficult aspects of airsoft matches in outdoor fields and how we can be better prepared for them. The idea of needing to be in decent physical condition to be able to run around outside all day isn't exactly a shocking revelation, but there's a lot more to it. I mean, this is a real problem. I've literally seen players call hit on themselves after being too exhausted from sprinting to cover. We can do better than this. Playing airsoft requires a fairly unique set of physical skills, but thankfully they're ones that you can build up. So here are some of the main areas that we should be focusing on. Training your cardio will go a long way to increasing your ability to cover large distances that are often associated with outdoor airsoft fields. You are going to spend a lot of time running back and forth and back and forth, so really any cardio workout that fits your lifestyle is a great place to start. Now, we polled our community, and over half of those who answered agreed that the physical demand on players is the most difficult aspect of outdoor matches, and some raised some great points too. So we're going to offer just a couple more pointers on this item because nobody wants to be this guy.
Are you okay? What do you mean? I'm fine. It's hot out today, that's all. Yeah, I've got this. I can't open my eyes though.
During a match, we spend a lot of time trying to be unpredictable to the enemy, and this often translates to us moving in random and sporadic ways. The stress on our bodies as we redirect our weight can be difficult to manage without practice, so we'd strongly encourage the use of training drills that emphasize these types of movements. Particularly, focus on lateral movements going from side to side, as you'll often want to keep yourself oriented towards the threat. For bonus points, you can increase your upper body endurance and fluidity by introducing your weapon and or targets into the mix. Any exercises that use high intensity bursts are optimal for airsoft, but it doesn't always have to be specific to the sport. There are lots of ways that you can become more conditioned to being outdoors, and the most primary one is pretty obvious. Just go outside. Then during your next match, hopefully you're not looking like this guy anymore. Depending on the field, some airsoft matches take an extraordinarily long time to play out until the very end. The expansive fields, numerous players, and complicated objectives mean that matches can take hours to complete, sometimes even entire weekends. To a new player experiencing that slow pacing for the first time, it can become confusing or even worse, boring. To help combat this, it's important that we are constantly attempting to utilize our minds in some capacity. Even if we're on simple guard duty, staying alert is key so we don't start to make mistakes. Our suggestion is simple. Write a story in your head, or start crunching some numbers, or figure out a way to beat that video game level that you're stuck on. Continuously scan your environment while you think about whatever you need to in order to stop your mind from simply going blank, because that's precisely the moment where fatigue will start to set in. While airsoft is completely safe when all the rules and safety equipment are in play, one variable that is next to impossible to account for is the terrain. Our feet are the first thing to interact with it, and with much of our time spent moving quickly during matches, a simple dip like this can easily lead to a rolled ankle or even worse. That's not factoring in rocks as trip hazards, broken glass or nails in abandoned buildings, and the freezing conditions of winter, just to name a few. So make sure your feet are protected. If you haven't already, then at the very least you should have a set of footwear that laces up over your ankle to help protect against rolling. If you're serious about protection and just generally being super efficient, then go for something with puncture resistance, as well as a composite reinforced toe. It's important to note that traditional steel toe shoes will not work well in the winter due to the cold being so easily absorbed by the material. So if you're planning on standing around in the snow for any length of time, composite is definitely the way to go. Now, as for everything else we come in contact with on the field, just remember to be aware of your surroundings at all times. It can be easy to get tunnel vision during firefights, and that's when mistakes get made. Something as simple as diving into cover without looking could quickly go very south. So make sure you're being safe out there, because in most cases, it's not the other players that are the real danger. Because outdoor airsoft fields are typically larger in scale compared to indoor arenas, more powerful guns are allowed to be used. For those with only mid-range guns, it can be exceedingly difficult to close the distance needed to be able to compete against players with long-range weapons. Snipers in particular will often rely on stealth. You can try fighting fire with fire and using some of the stealth tips that we offered in a previous video, or you can take the complete opposite route and use overwhelming force to attempt to flush them out of their position. In either case, remember that it is possible to be spotted from much further away in outdoor fields, so plan your moves wisely. If you're particularly attached to your mid-range setup, then consider bringing along a support weapon for those exact situations. You know, if you've already nailed down the first item on this list. Thanks to modern smartphones and their ability to use GPS, getting lost has become more and more difficult, but certainly not impossible. And I don't mean getting lost in the extreme sense. I'm just talking about making a simple wrong turn. On an airsoft field, taking the wrong path can be the difference between regrouping with friendlies or regrouping with some not so friendly. If you aren't already, familiarize yourself with the traditional compass and paper map. Study the area beforehand and try to memorize as much as you can so you're able to make quick decisions on the fly without having to address your phone every 50 paces. Another simple way to avoid going the wrong way is to maintain solid communication with your teammates. Even if you don't have a radio, you probably have a Bluetooth headset and a smartphone. If reception is good enough, this is a workaround that, while it's not ideal, is certainly better than nothing. Either way, you want to make sure you reach out to your teammates often to keep them updated as you discover information that is relevant. Enemy locations, potential routes for flanks, the status of objectives, all of this information helps build up the awareness for your team and leads to better coordination of movement. When players fail to communicate with other team members, one of the main advantages of working as a team evaporates. Navigation and communication are critical skills for airsoft players, and we're planning on making a lot more videos on the topic, so if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more, then make sure you're subscribed. And as a bonus for watching this long, I'll let you know what the actual #1 worst part about playing airsoft outdoors is. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you ticks. If you agree, then go ahead and just comment the word ticks. I'll understand. Thank you so much for watching. Class is dismissed.
It's a little sunny where I was hiding, that's all. Okay, I'm good.